For Bill Belichick, the last 14 months have possibly been the most hellish months of Bill Belichick's football life. In that short time period, he's seen Tom Brady lose a playoff game to the Tennessee Titans, in which his final throw was a pick six. He saw Tom Brady leave the New England Patriots and take fan favorite Rob Gronkowski with him to Tampa Bay. And then just about 12 months later, Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were crowned Super Bowl champions. And to make matters worse for Bill Belichick, this was supposed to be the season in which he proved himself as the sole and primary reason for a majority of the success that went on in New England, like many sports pundits and, media members wanted to portray the situation as. However, not only did Tom Brady win the Super Bowl, and not only did he win Super Bowl MVP, Bill Belichick didn't even make the playoffs. He saw possibly some of the worst quarterback play in the league last season with Cam Newton and the rest of the quarterback room. And the New England Patriots, by their standards, were in a complete dumpster fire last year. It's moments like these in NFL history where teams either get desperate or they stay patient. However, for the New England Patriots, with somebody like Bill Belichick as their head coach, who is probably getting into the last few years of his coaching tenure, they more than likely are going to be dipping into the desperation pool than they're going to be dipping into the patience pool. And this Pats roster is actually really built to win now. They still had a top 10 defense last year, and even though they did not pass the ball very well, they had a very good run game, which is very rare to have a very terrible quarterback situation and still run the ball very well. So there's a really good chance that if they get the quarterback position right this year and during the offseason, there's a really good chance that they might even be fighting for a Super Bowl again next year. Just how cool would it be to see Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, and the rest of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go against Tom Brady's former team in the Bill Belichick-led New England Patriots, and whoever they get as their quarterback? I would definitely be tuning into that Super Bowl, and I would be tuning into that regular season game if it were to happen. Now, when you're looking for a quarterback to replace Tom Brady, you're not necessarily looking for somebody on the field to replace Tom Brady. You're looking for somebody who's going to be in the locker room as the main guy every single day. Not saying that Cam Newton wasn't able to do that for the Patriots, but I think it just wasn't the right fit between Cam Newton and Bill Belichick and the rest of the roster. The one name that I keep landing on for the New England Patriots to go after as their next quarterback of the roster is Kirk Cousins, the current quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I understand that Kirk Cousins probably does not have the biggest, fanfare when it comes to the rest of the league, but whether you want to admit it or not, Kirk Cousins was tearing up the league over the last 8 games of last season. And really, the only reason that the Minnesota Vikings did not make it to the playoffs this year is because their defense was absolutely atrocious. They gave up 30 points to the Dallas Cowboys when they didn't have Dak Prescott. They gave up 33 points to the Chicago Bears with a Mitchell Trubisky-led team, and they ended up giving up 52 points to the New Orleans Saints late in the season that pretty much killed their year and their playoff chances. However, while his defense was destroying their playoff chances, Kirk Cousins was literally lifting this team up by its bootstraps. He was completing 69% of his completions, he had 2,410 passing yards over the last 8 games of the year, and he had a touchdown to interception ratio that was only 20-3. He also did this in the season in which one of his main receiving options was a rookie. He also did this in the season in which Stephon Diggs was in his first year away from Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings. And it was a year where Adam Thielen was in and out of the lineup for a majority of the season. However, just because of the sort of reputation that Kirk Cousins has in the league, the sort of narrative that's going to be spun about this season for the Minnesota Vikings is that Kirk Cousins let them down again and couldn't get them to the promised land, which, as I've just laid out, if you actually look at how Kirk Cousins performed over the last games of the season, you'll see that he really was let down by his defense. He really was let down by, I can't say it any better. He was let down by the defense. He just couldn't get consistent play. They couldn't get consistent play on that defensive side of the ball, even in games where they were going up against shaky quarterbacks like the Cowboys and the Chicago Bears. With that being said, though, I think Kirk Cousins kind of has that same sort of chip on his shoulder that Tom Brady did when he was a New England Patriot, and this year when he was a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. I'm not comparing Kirk Cousins to Tom Brady. That's a future Hall of Fame first ballot winner to a guy with 2 Pro Bowls in his career. However, the chip is still there for Kirk Cousins as a guy who's always been doubted in his career. He was never a first-round draft pick. He wasn't highly recruited out of high school. But, I think he's a guy that, with that chip on his shoulder, would bring a, welcome face back to the quarterback position in New England. Like I said, Kirk Cousins completely balled out this season. And he did it with a majority of guys and names that he's not used to playing with. Adam Thielen was not at his best this year. Justin Jefferson was a first-year rookie wide receiver who could completely outperformed every expectation that he had. I mean, going back to last year, he made names like Olabisi Johnson look like a solid second or third wide receiver option. He just has a way of making guys play at or above expectations to what they should be bringing to the team. And if that doesn't sound like Tom Brady, and if that doesn't sound like somebody who should be playing quarterback for the New England Patriots, then I don't know who else does. With all that being said, that's going to be the video for me. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you leave a like. If you didn't, make sure you leave a dislike. Any feedback from you all at this point is much appreciated. If you're new here, make sure you hit subscribe. If you're one of my returning subscribers, I appreciate you so much. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.